Our tropical wave continues to bring heavy rain to parts of our area. And could there be a tropical disturbance in the Caribbean later this week? Your forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas starts right now.
This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi friends, Rusty back here at Meteo Mundo on this Monday afternoon. Hope you're doing well. Thank you to all of our new subscribers. Thank you for finding us. We're going to get right into the forecast, and as we do so, let me know in the comments section below where you're viewing us from and also what the weather has been like. We're going to start you off with our enhanced satellite imagery. You are looking at live lightning data, live satellite data, and radar data on this Monday afternoon. So we're going to get into what's happening right now with some of that heavier rain and then an area of interest in the Southwest Caribbean. We're going to start off in Hispaniola because, again, this is an area that continues to see some extremely heavy rainfall and a lot of lightning. That tropical wave has slammed into that surface trough, which brought all the heavy rain last week. There was kind of a leftover piece of energy, if you will. And look at the flare-up of showers and storms across the island on this Monday afternoon. We had some pretty intense activity on the far eastern side of the island earlier this afternoon. Punta Cana, La Romana, over towards Samana. Certainly some downpours over Santo Domingo. They've kind of backbuilt off towards the west. Santiago de los Caballeros and Puerto Plata all has had some rain for today. Now, as of recording this video on this late Monday afternoon, there are no flood advisories or no flood watches or warnings across the island at this point in time. But as I always say, please check in with your local officials. There could still be some possible flash flooding. And obviously, if you live in the Dominican Republic, let me know in the comments section below what you're seeing. But healthy storms today. You can see the lightning strike count get up well over 100 there in just the last hour or two. So again, it's just going to continue to be very wet across this area. And there's more moisture to come. Again, all of this wave, all this tropical wave activity moving into that stream right there, and then it's back building it to the north and to the east. The same situation is now playing out over Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. Again, look at this widespread tropical plume really getting going right now. The rain is becoming more widespread. It's becoming heavy. There's lightning associated with what we're seeing right now. We do have some flood advisories for Puerto Rico at the hour. Now, flood advisory is like the lowest level criteria. This is mainly going to be urban and small stream flooding, but some parts of Puerto Rico have already had 1 to 2 inches of rain, and some areas could see an additional 1 to 2 inches of rain as well. What do you say we take a look at the live radar here out of San Juan, Puerto Rico, or the southeast side of Puerto Rico towards Cayey? But again, you can see just how widespread the rain has become. Look at all of this activity. A lot of rain right now over the Mona Passage. The northwest side of the island got hit pretty hard earlier in the day. Aguadilla on over towards Isabela. Now some heavier rain towards Mayagüez. But again, there's not any one specific area. It's been a little bit wetter north and west. We have some decent storms right now on the far east side of the island there, south of Rio Grande. On over towards the Fajardo area and areas off towards the south. That's where there's a good cluster of lightning right now. And some scattered showers continue across portions of the islands as well. Vieques and Culebra, we can see some rain there. We've had some rain and some heavier showers near St. Croix. Nice little storm offshore right now. But again, this is a current shot, but we've had waves of rain move across the Virgin Islands. But you get the idea of how wet it is across the islands, and some of this will extend into portions of the Leeward Islands as well. So a wet, stormy forecast with the possibility, if nothing else, of a little bit of flash flooding out there. We'll be monitoring that. I'll get back over to the broad perspective here. Again, this is your live lightning, your live satellite data. And I just want to point out that how all of this moisture is actually moving back towards the north and to the east. So as this tropical wave has slammed into that moisture axis there, that's kind of elongated from southwest to northeast, you get all of this activity just moving back in. Now, for our friends in the northern side of the Leeward Islands, Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Bartholomew, Saba, St. Eustatius, St. Kitts and Nevis especially, certainly the opportunity to catch a passing shower, a downpour here and there, maybe even a few rumbles of thunder. It's not going to be as widespread as areas off towards your west, but it can't rule out an isolated shower. You get a little bit further east, Barbuda, Antigua, and then as far south as Montserrat, and your chances become even more limited. Again, a passing shower possible in these areas, but certainly no flooding rain. The thickest, richest, deepest moisture has moved off towards your west. And this will be true for the rest of the islands, Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia. Again, can't rule out a couple of passing showers trying to sneak back into St. Lucia and St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Barbados and Grenada and Trinidad and Tobago could see a passing shower for today, but that chance is just fewer and far between compared to areas off towards the west. Now, the ABC Islands, I hope you guys get some rain for today. And if you live in this area, let me know, because that moisture will continue to drive west and you will begin to dry out. So hopefully, underneath some of this thicker cloud coverage, you're at least getting some passing downpours for Bonaire, Curacao, and Aruba. And you can see that nice flare up there southwest of Aruba. Let's get you some rain right now, because I think it'll be drying out as we get deeper into the forecast. Let's swing over to Jamaica. We're seeing a few isolated showers and storms developing. We could use the rain. You guys have been telling me how hot it's been. And look, I know that if it hasn't been raining in your area, it's been brutally hot. Well, we've seen a few storms develop. Montego Bay, Savannah, Lamar, Westmoreland Parish, areas out towards the west, maybe towards Mandeville and Maypen, Ocho Rios. It's been a little bit drier south and east, Old Harbor, Kingston, Portmore, Spanish Town, but the opportunity is there. And the rain chances will just get better and better for Jamaica as we get deeper into the week. So this is about the lowest rain chance you're going to see. Now, the area of interest here, we're going to talk a lot more about this, is what's happening in the Southwest Caribbean, okay? You can see that there's some energy out there. We have a couple of balls of lightning there. We have a lot of moisture coming in from the south side of Panama and really the Eastern Pacific. And we're going to talk about how this will play out and how what's developing here today will actually impact a broad area and a lot of us as we get deeper into the week. Going back over to the broad perspective, we'll now talk about the areas that are unfortunately still dry. And of course, that's going to be the Cayman Islands and most of Central America and the Yucatan. Now, here's something that's really interesting. Do you guys see these couple of little lightning strikes here? We've had just a little bit of rogue moisture move west. And at first I thought, oh, there's no way the data is just wrong, but some of this is probably what we call dry lightning. There's no real precipitation associated with it. Just a little bit more in the way of some moisture here. I know it's in the middle of nowhere, but again, I will cling on to anything to try and drive more moisture in any rain chance into Honduras and Nicaragua and Belize and Guatemala and the Yucatan. We're still far away from that from happening, but again, you can see there's a little bit of signs of there being at least the slightest bit of change. Now, I want to get to an area that's seeing a little bit of rain in the hour right now, and that's our friends in the Northwest Bahamas, over Grand Bahama and Andros and portions of New Providence. We've had a few storms develop here right on this late Monday afternoon. We're going to bring on the radar for you here out of southeast Florida, and we'll show that. I'll take off the satellite data. So again, you can see that these storms have really developed here in just the last hour or so. It's Andros again that's getting hit pretty hard at the hour. And again, some of this could swing over towards New Providence, but right now it's across Andros. Heavy storms across that area, almost drifting off towards the south and to the west. Few showers towards the Bimini area and Alistown, and a nice cluster of storms right over portions of Grand Bahama, really across the island for a brief time. Now, they flared up and died back down, but look at those storms get going right over the High Rock, Freeport, Lucaya areas. And again, at this point in time, they've kind of moved away, but isolated thunderstorm activity will be a possibility here the next couple of afternoons with the heat of the day. It's getting pretty hot in this area as well. A little shower there over portions of Abaco as well. Okay, back over to the broad perspective, because the next thing I want to do is throw on our current temperatures. And again, because I can show you all these things here at Meteo Mundo, I want to be able to dive into what's happening right now, and then we're going to get into the forecast. These are air temperatures, and I'm actually going to pause this. This is looping over the last 6 hours, but I do, again, you know, we have to talk about where the dangerous heat is, and it still lies through the Yucatan and portions of Central America. Now, Cancun, Cozumel, 90, 91, we can tolerate that. It feels a lot hotter, but the actual air temperature in places like San Ignacio and Belmopan, Belize, are about 106. It continues to be very dangerous. Many of you have commented who live in Belize just how bad it is that school is only half day because they can't tolerate the heat in the afternoon. There's a ton of wildfires, especially in the southern side of Belize. And obviously this heat and no rain is not helping things. That's the current air temperature. These are the current feels like numbers. Feels like temperatures are what it feels like on your body. And again, In Celsius, 110 is 43.3 degrees. 90 for Fahrenheit is going to be in the upper 20s Celsius. So you get an idea that these are extremely hot conditions. San Ignacio right now, 119 degree, feels like temperature in Fahrenheit, 111 in Belize. It's dangerous. It's as simple as that. And it's not just Belize, but obviously all of the Yucatan, including Cancun and Cozumel, Honduras, even Roatan has 105, San Pedro Sula 114. We might pop off a few storms here in the western sides of Nicaragua and Honduras soon, and I hope that is the case, because these are really, really life-threatening temperatures here to be outdoors in, and I hope you're able to find some reprieve from that. 102 ABC Islands right now, Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao. Again, for the Windward Islands here, Grenada south towards Trinidad and Tobago, again, not getting the rain. 103 is the current feels like temperature right now near Port of Spain. It's rough outside, and again, we have some upper 90s in some areas that haven't seen the rain, and obviously the areas where we do have the showers and storms, it continues to be a little bit cooler. But that's the problem. The problem is, friends, we're in late May, and you got to get the rain to try and cool off a little bit as well. But there are some changes coming to where we're going to have that rain develop. Now, as we get into that forecast, the first thing I want to show you are sea surface temperatures, because we're going to be talking about the potential to support some tropical activity. Sea surface temperatures are extremely, extremely hot throughout all of the Caribbean. You're looking at mainly the upper 20s in Celsius to a couple of spots even in the lower 30s. I continue to harp on the fact that these are temperatures that we would expect in late summer rather than in early May. So you combine these extremely hot sea surface temperatures with La Nina coming in and lighter wind shear, and it all again adds to the potential for a very long inactive hurricane season. So how does this play out? Now, I've been showing you this graphic towards the end of May, but the European model has actually come back on here and said over the next 3 days, it wants to paint on the opportunity to develop a tropical disturbance in the Southwest Caribbean over the next 3 days. Now, I'm going to say this is the only model that is showing this. The GFS model and no other model that I've really seen tries to develop something that actually gets going in a tropical nature. There's going to be a spin there, and I'll show you that. And the Hurricane Center does not have any tropical storm formation over the next 7 days, but again, I pass on all the information, and obviously the European model is a model that we lean on a lot here across the Caribbean and the Bahamas, and so just to show you that, again, this is an area of interest if nothing else. So let's talk about that. I'm going to get into a product I like to break out when we're dealing with that, and that is our wind vector product. And as I'm doing so, and I'm loading this up and getting this model running here, and you're going to see these arrows come on, and normally I make these arrows bigger, but I really want to get into the mesoscale and look where that twist is going to be. So as this model is loading up, first of all, thank you so much for liking this video, and thank you for subscribing. If you've been looking for the latest forecasts across the Caribbean and the Bahamas, you found your home here at Meteo Mundo. We've had a lot of new subscribers lately, and I really appreciate that. I also appreciate you if you'd like to subscribe to the channel. You can do that by hitting the join button. Thank you for those who have given in other ways, like through the super thanks and the tip jar. You can also find other ways to support the channel in the description below. And for all of those who have decided to help Meteo Mundo in that way, you have my heartfelt thanks. Thank you so much for watching and sharing this with your family and friends. Really appreciate it, guys. Okay, so let's get into what you're looking at here, and I want to get into the southwest side of the Caribbean. You can clearly see this. Now look, this is the GFS model, okay? So this is a separate model from what I've shown you, but it's clear to see as we sneak into late tomorrow and especially Wednesday and Thursday, we start to see this twist right there. Very clear, same area that the European model tries to have a little bit of development. And you can see that begin to ride up towards the coastlines of Nicaragua and Honduras. But the difference is this. When I put this on, and I know it's going to be a little bit hard to see, but I want you to look at this. These are your winds in knots. If you notice that the wind field here in the GFS is very, very light. It's somewhat insignificant, and that's the biggest difference. Both models show there to be some vorticity, some twist, some turn in the atmosphere to produce a very broad area of circulation, but the GFS right now just doesn't support the wind field of a tropical depression. We will see how this plays out. This is going to be a slow-moving system, if nothing else. But again, both models show there to be some twist in the wind field here in the Southwest Caribbean over the next few days. The European model is much more aggressive with the wind field it produces. The GFS model is much lighter. So that's something, obviously, I'll closely monitor here as we go over the next 5 days. But I wanted to point that out. So let's get into the rainfall forecast here, because obviously this is going to be impacting a lot of us. We'll first talk about how our tropical wave is going to be impacting some of the islands the next few days, and then what's going to be happening with this puppy as well. So we'll start off in Jamaica. You know what? We'll start off in Hispaniola, because Jamaica is one of the areas that's going to get the 1-2 punch. I want to talk about that. Mainly up towards Hispaniola, you guys are going to be impacted by this tropical wave that's moving through, and that includes the Turks and the Caicos. But obviously it stays a relatively wet forecast, and I do have the island by island rain chances coming up in just a few minutes, so stick around for that. But obviously we just stay with the potential for showers and storms, heavier rain, and maybe some flash flooding in this area. It's not out of the equation, just depending on how much rain we get over the next 5 days. But you can just see that it stays wet across this area. Now, late in the period beyond the 5 days, there is an opportunity, as this tries to move back north and east, that we get hit again. But we'll talk about that beyond the 5-day forecast, at least as of now. But this is what the tropical wave and that shear axis, that trough that's still kind of signaling out there, is going to do. The rain chances will remain high in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands the next couple of days. As that moisture shifts off towards the west, we do dry out a bit. So today, Monday, and Tuesday for San Juan and Vieques and St. Croix, St. Thomas, St. John, road town areas, I'm talking to you, highest rain chances will begin to tail off into Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Not completely dry, but again, guess what? Any day you haven't gotten the rain, you've had a heat advisory. That's how hot it's been. Now, for our friends through the Lesser Antilles, we'll start in the Leeward Islands. Again, it's spottier activity. That moisture is now even farther off towards the west. We're going to have our easterlies kick in. I can't rule out a couple of showers here, but I am just letting this run over the next 5 days, and you can see across the island chain, a spotty downpour is possible to try and help cool you off. The chance of rain each day, about 20 to at best 30%. One area later in the period that again could get a little surge of tropical moisture is back down towards Trinidad and Tobago. So slightly higher rain chances there, but not significantly higher. I don't see there to be a big quality push of moisture coming back in, but a slightly better chance there. Now, I mentioned the ABC Islands because, again, with all of that moving into the Southwest Caribbean, now all the wind fields push the moisture west. So we need to get a few showers over the ABC Islands today or tomorrow at the latest, because you should begin to dry out as we get deeper into the week. This is going to end up being a potentially wet forecast for Jamaica. So my friends in Jamaica, just keep an eye on it. I got you covered. Your lowest rain chance is going to be for today, but you're going to get the 1-2 punch of our tropical wave moving in from the east, and then all of that moisture from the Southwest Caribbean lifting up towards the island. So again, it could be a fairly wet pattern for us. Let me zoom in even a little bit closer here. We're going to bring on even a couple more features. I want to make sure everyone gets included here. So let's break this down. For the remainder of today, a spotty shower or two. As we get into tomorrow, again, not a lot of rain, but by Wednesday, now we start to see this moisture feed come in, and Wednesday into Thursday and Friday, now the rain becomes much more widespread. And again, beyond the 5-day forecast as of now, into the weekend, we could have the most significant rain for Jamaica. And we will look at the extended forecast coming up in a bit, but we'll start off with over the next 5 days. So you get the idea of the rain chances go higher and higher for Jamaica later in the week. Now you get to the Cayman Islands and west, and again, we continue to still have our big ridge of high pressure. I mentioned it yesterday, we telestrated it. Basically, it's a big blocking high. We're gonna try and knock it out from the east, but to get quality moisture to move back into this area is going to take some time. We'll look at the extended forecast in this area as well in just a minute. And for my friends in the Bahamas, and again, this is the entire Bahamas, but they'll be a little bit more active with a few storms trying to move off of the Florida East Coast and the far northwest Bahamas, so Walker's Key and Freeport, and Eleuthera and Abaco and Nassau, Andros and Bimini, compared to some of the south and central sides of the Bahamas. Scattered showers and storms, but when they develop, heavy rain and lightning are going to come along for the ride. So let's break down the rain chance island by island over the next few days. For Jamaica, again, not much today or tomorrow. We're up to a 40% chance on Wednesday, and then I believe rain chances only going up from there. Bahamas will see isolated to scattered storms, again, where they develop, heavy rain and lightning will accompany them. Turks and Caicos will get wetter as well. They're just a little bit too far to the north to get into the best moisture, but if you live in that area, rain chances will improve certainly on Wednesday. Very widespread showers and storms Monday, today, and Tuesday for the Dominican Republic. Still a 50% chance on Wednesday. And rain chances might go down a bit Thursday and Friday, but again, if that developing system in the Southwest Caribbean, whatever it becomes, moves back north, your rain chances could go right back up for the weekend ahead. And again, there's just not much yet for the Cayman Islands, and basically no chance for Belize City or Cancun or Cozumel over the next couple of days. We might see a coastal shower Belize starting Wednesday into Thursday, Friday. Puerto Rico, again, heavy rain likely the next few days. The potential for some isolated flash flooding. It's the same situation for our friends across the Virgin Islands. Rain chances will be lower by Wednesday. Then it's just fairly isolated rain for the rest of the Leeward Islands. For Anguilla and Dominica and Barbados, St. Kitts and Nevis will be included in this, Martinique, Trinidad and Tobago, again, slightly higher chance on Wednesday, but still many dry hours and locations over the next few days, and not a lot of rain in the forecast for the ABC Islands. Okay, let's get back over to the GFS model. I'm going to go back, and again, we're going to extend this out now into early June. And again, I can take this model out very far, but we're talking about just the next 4 or 5 days. It's not like we're looking 10 or 14 days out, guys. We're talking about this developing into at least a big rainmaker for portions of the area late this week and into the weekend. So now we've taken it out a few more days. So we're going to go here to Thursday, the 30th, and we're just going to stair step it from here. Again, with our high, our ridge of high pressure off in this area, okay? Again, what's going to be happening, and sure, I'll telestrate it. This is not the best telestration thing I've ever used, but that's okay. So again, you've got this area of high pressure, again, that's subsidence or sinking air, and you have clockwise winds around your high. This is the heat dome, okay? I want you to notice that doesn't go any farther north and west because it's bumping into that ridge, and it's just going to take the easier path, and that's to spin it back north and east, all right? So again, watch this develop. It begins in the Southwest Caribbean. It gets up towards that area of high pressure, says no thanks, I can't break it, and it moves back to the north and to the east. And obviously the winds being very light in that area is not going to aid it in trying to get a little bit farther off towards the west. So unfortunately at this point in time, even with that tropical moisture trying to develop here in the Southwest Caribbean, we could see a few storms for portions of Nicaragua and Honduras, and maybe an isolated shower in Belize and a couple in the Cayman Islands, but nothing appreciable as of yet. So again, I'm going to let this run back out, and then we'll talk about where it actually is headed. So as we get back in again into Thursday, if this scenario plays out, first of all, it's going to be a very sloppy system. Again, I don't expect it to develop into a tropical depression, but we'll see how it plays out. You know, I'm monitoring each and every day, but you can see how sloppy it's going to be. And the heavy rain goes right back over some of the areas we've mentioned a lot. That's Jamaica and Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, and the Turks and Caicos. It eventually actually gets caught up with a mid-latitude cyclone. If I zoom out enough, look what's happening up here in Bermuda. It gets kind of strung into that and gets pushed right back along into the Western Atlantic. The bottom line is, guys, it just ends up being a very wet forecast again for some areas, but the disturbance possibility is out there. So now looking at the European rainfall totals here, let's take a look at that. You can see over the next 7 days. Again, it tries to bring in a little bit of rain up towards Honduras and Belize and Guatemala. Coastal sides of Nicaragua could have some very heavy rain depending on how long that sits just off the coast, all right? And then you can see it also bends it back. I'm going to put myself on camera real quickly here. You can clearly see it bends it back north and east because that's where we get these higher rainfall totals. And again, you're looking in millimeters. And for those who like inches, 25 millimeters is 1 inch. This is a very simple conversion at least, okay? So we get up to 100 millimeters, that's 4 inches of rain. And there's those amounts for portions of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands and Hispaniola and Jamaica, and maybe a couple hundred inches of rain, or a couple hundred millimeters of rain, dear Lord, not inches, for portions of Central America. So you get the idea. This could be a big rainmaker for some areas, trying to bleed in where we desperately need the rain. But at this point in time, I don't think it's drought-busting rain of any kind. Maybe we can get a couple of showers there. Friends, you know you can follow us across all of social media. We are at Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook. Got an email address for you as well, myMediaMundo@gmail.com. Again, I can't thank you enough for liking this video. So many more of you liked the last video, and we had a tremendous viewer count, and I appreciate it. Thank you for subscribing, and thank you for supporting the channel in all the different ways that you do. You have a great rest of your Monday, and I will see you tomorrow right here at Media Mundo.